before coming here, this is going to be a somewhat unconventional session. And it will be a participatory session. So the action will happen here, not just with me, but with you. So if you're far, you're in the wrong place. Everyone please stand up. Everyone please stand up, I mean it. Everyone walk down the stairs, and everyone populate the first row, and if needed, the second row. Otherwise, you're not going to be engaging in the session, which is a participatory session. Yes. It's gonna be safe, mostly. I advise the front row, because it's literally, I'm gonna pass balls and so on. So come forward, come, be brave, thank you, Larry, I love it. Thank you very much. It's very safe and playful. Come on over, first row, if needed, second row. Come on in. The action is in the front row and second row. If you want to be far away, that's fine. You're just not belonging to a conference. It's like being in a bus stop, okay? So welcome, friends. My name is Pablo, and with Dorothy and Rob, we're going to be doing stuff today. We have something unusual to share. We have been working in this sector for, what, cumulative 4.5 decades or something like that. And there are some things that we're not paying attention to. And in our experience, when we want people to notice stuff, if I talk and you allegedly listen, at best you listen, most likely you don't process, certainly you forget. So this session, as the name implies, has an element of juggling, not just in the metaphorical sense. It's gonna get strange, but it's safe. And we have the stellar contribution of the Donut Economics Action Lab, which wasn't listed in the program, but thank you, Rob, for coming. And then there's Climate Center, Catalina, myself, and colleagues who are not physically present, but they're certainly present in spirit. So I'm going to first invite, I thought it was you, right? Yes. In case you didn't notice, there's going to be a certain improvisational flow for this, because if you're talking about planning and you don't recognize that reality is different from what you expect, you don't know what you're doing. Oh, friends online, welcome. It's gonna get strange for you as well.
Hopefully. Hi, everyone. Yeah, we're trying to keep this as informal as possible despite the auditorium setting. So please do talk to your neighbors, interrupt us, jump up, come dance, do whatever you feel like doing. Here, we're hoping to get everyone together to talk about compound, cascading, and unprecedented risks. And so we know, for those of everyone, I'm guessing, in this room who work on disasters, who work on warnings, we're facing a reality of increasing and changing risks. And we know from the warning side that we are needing new tools, new methods to address these new scenarios. And so I just wanted to show a few photos of recent events, some of which you'll recognize, that do start to illustrate and have us thinking about this question of compound, cascading, and unprecedented risks. And so if we can all kind of put our thinking hats together and think, what are these events, these big events that in the panel this morning people talked about as well, of these compound, cascading, unprecedented risks? And what is the role of warning systems, and how do we shape warning systems to help us better address these risks? So just a few images. Flooding in Greece that just happened, and recovery is still happening, happened after an unprecedented wildfire season in the region. We're seeing much more flooding right now. These are 24-hour slides, and there's not the flooding in Libya and Bulgaria and other places that are right now seeing horrific compound impacts. So here's the flooding in Greece, bringing us back a little bit to the lovely years of 2020, 2021. What happens when you need to do disaster response in the middle of a global pandemic? What are the compound impacts on vulnerable communities, and how do we address this through early warning and anticipatory action? I'm Canadian. I had to put a picture of Canada in there. We just had the worst wildfire season ever across the massive extent that is the Canadian boreal forest. Again, this question of unprecedented heat, this question of compound impacts of heat, of hydrological drought, of wildfires, all happening at the same time. And us as humanitarians, as disaster risk practitioners, have to come up with methods to address these types of events. And so this is the invitation for you all today. Think about cascading, compound, unprecedented events that you've been dealing with in your personal lives, in your professional lives, and come help us think through ways to address this differently. And so here's the invitation to this unconventional, testing out this kind of session. And thank you so much for being with us. Hi, everyone who's online as well. Pablo. So this is the quick definitions of unprecedented compound cascading risks. I don't think we really need to go through this. Often people talk about compound risks as impacts that happen over a certain location, so multiple events happening at the same time at the same place, compounding impacts on vulnerable communities, places, etc. And the notion of cascading risk, which I really like this GIF that was made by a colleague, and showing basically the temporal nature of cascading risks. So we think about risks happening sequentially over time, and what happens when that billiard ball hits that ball and hits the conflict ball and the climate change ball, and they all start playing around with each other. And so what are the interactions of these types of events? So just a little bit of framing. This is what we're hoping to talk about. Here's an example of some work that colleagues at the Climate Center have done as well, kind of showing ways to unpack these overlapping questions of compound cascading risks. You can see the research, but Catalina can probably speak about this as well. But just ways to unpack the complexity and figure out what is it that we need to be doing, where are the pressure points, and where is it that we can be acting as humanitarian and disaster risk practitioners. Pablo, I think I'm handing this back over to you.
Trouble will come. So,
yeah, this is the easy part.
Have you ever played the game No, Yes, But, Yes, And? Good, some of you have. It's very fun. Of course, I'm not able to clip this thing. What am I doing? There we go. So, the tasks will be first, you will form trios. Second, once when you are in those trios, you will recognize a new reality. You're no longer who you think you are. You will become members of a screenwriting team for an upcoming movie. Can be a romantic comedy, can be drama, can be something else strange. But the issue is that it's in the near future, and you have to come up with some stuff that happens in that near future. I'll explain. Friends online, I don't have the ability to see what you see in terms of Zoom and so on, but you're all going to be a gigantic trio. And you are going to be contributing online ideas via the chat function of stuff that could happen. So, the first one is very simple. You will, in your trio, come up with ideas of statements of unprecedented shocks. So you could say that in your trio, it's about a couple of retired farmers in their northern Wales, and they are having an easy time looking at the photos, and then some unprecedented event happens. What is it, according to the Met UK expert in the room? I don't know. It could be something about millimeters of rain, about wind speed, about asteroid impact. I don't know. Try to make it realistic but unprecedented. Don't tell me that Godzilla just emerged from a freezer in Japan and emerged in, okay? I mean, you can if you want, but I want it to be somewhat realistic. And then what happens in your trio is that the next person says, no! Because remember, you're screenwriters. You don't accept the first thing that comes. You're gonna come up with another extreme event that is even more interesting as a filmmaker. So if you say, it rains for 75 days in a row, more than 500 millimeters per day. And the next person says, no, that's boring. And then says, the wind comes from the Sahara and brings sand. And what does the next person say? No, and comes up with something that's unprecedented. Friends online, self-organize, everyone stand up, form a trio, one-up each other, unprecedented events. It's okay to be 2 or 4.
To get everyone to come in the middle. It's like crazy. It doesn't seem like a lot of people until they're like, oh my God.
And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence, please. Thank you. Shh, look at your faces. You're all talking about catastrophic stuff, and yet you're smiling. Good. We like to have humor in the room because humor helps us imagine. Next task, you will stay in the same trio, but you will go in the other direction if you're in person. If you're online, you'll have learned something about how your giant trio works. And we move on to, oh, sorry, it's this laptop, this computer. Now it's going to be about cascading effects of a single shock. So for example, Rob could say, in this case of Wales, you stick to the original story, yeah? But now you're going to say, okay, we agree it's a heat wave. And grandma just called because she's feeling bad. And then next person says, yes, and the train is not working because it's too hot, nephew cannot come help. And then, actually, you know what, I'm going to skip all the way to the, forget that it says yes, but you're gonna yes and each other. You're gonna say yes and then something else happens. And then the next person says yes and it's a sequence of things that go a little bit wrong that make your comedy or your drama or whatever movie you're making somewhat entertaining, somewhat interesting to watch it. There's one thing that triggers the next thing that triggers the next thing. Okay? And it's all resulting from the same original source of Nyaka. Ready, set, 2 minutes, go. Look at the laughter going on in this space. Awesome. Your movie is now trying to get others to put the money, to recruit the awesomest actors and so on. We're going to temporarily suspend your intense action to share with you some information about new ways of seeing, and then we'll get you active again. So please sit down, come to the front if you're not already in the front. We want to densify the seats. You online, you're already in a densely populated Zoom thing. So, first, this is going back to my times as a doctoral student. We're vulnerable to what? We, in the early warning space, tend to think as people, systems, grandma, and the national economy being vulnerable to a hazard. Whether it's a hurricane, a heat wave, a flood, something like that. It assumes that hazard centrism, multi-hazard early warning system. There's a thing that can come from the mostly natural world and interact with or impact on people who happen to be vulnerable or sensitive to that thing, and then risk may emerge. And there's a clear vector of causality. You start from the event, for example, a dark cloud in the horizon. Then there's someone, something that is vulnerable. It could be the train tracks. It doesn't have to be a person. And then if there's a shock, that shock hits. And then there's trouble, and maybe if you're the Red Cross, you have to go and help. And in this context, what you want is to increase the ability to respond to predictions on what could happen to that vulnerable entity given that foreseeable extreme event so that there's no suffering. This is where we live. This is where this conference resides. I say to you, this is vastly insufficient thinking. Because when you look at how people suffer, yes, there's a direct impact of the extreme event, but there's more. So let's look at the other framing, which is vulnerability to outcome. They don't say that you're vulnerable to a drought. They say you're vulnerable to famine, to going hungry. And why does that happen? You know, if you don't know, we have people in the room who know a lot. This idea of natural disasters, blaming rain or lack of rain for someone going hungry, no. And now we were very loud, but there was a time when it wasn't so clear. So why are people vulnerable in the first place? In this case, you start from some entity that has access to resources or opportunities based on some way in which these things are distributed, which depends on who you are relative to your neighbors, your peers, your government, and so on. And there's processes of political, economic, cultural, ethnic, all sorts of things that create some who are in and some who are out. There's marginalization. Marginalization as something that is done to people. It's not that just because I happen to be tall, I am more likely to get a job. It's that there's a marginalization of people who happen to not be tall, which is very inconvenient when you're in a tight seat, but then some people get marginalized just because of something that has nothing to do with the fact that we're all human. So in this context, if an event happens, sure, the flood may impact the farmer directly and the farmer gets wet and maybe gets some waterborne disease, but importantly, as Amartya Sen has demonstrated, it's about what happens to that dynamic distribution, how this event reshuffles where things are, who gets access to what, and then it's where the shock happens, not so much or not only because of the direct impact of, say, some natural hazard on the thing, but because of all the reconfigurations, the kerfuffleization, the discombobulation of the system that gives us access. And in this context, how can we nurture processes that reverse that marginalization so that people who are marginal are not so lacking of what they need, their needs, their wants, as we have learned from the work of Kate Raworth with the donor economics team. So, I would argue that our early warning systems mindset is one that does not think of the pre-existing injustices. What we do is we say, sure, there's some who are more vulnerable, let's have an early warning for that last mile or first mile, depending on where you stand. Sure. But if we understand that the system has baked into its own nature this marginalization process, then we have to think that maybe all these fish were born equal, but some got more access to resources and ate more and grew more. And next time you distribute food aid, it goes to the village and the village chief says, yes, yes, we'll give it to the people in need. It's my nephew. Yeah? So, moving on, and very soon you're going to be engaging actively and physically. We're going to be building on the work of Kate Raworth and donor economics. Can you wave if you've heard of this? Can you stand up if you have seen the TED Talk or done something with it? Yeah, you don't need to be shy. Look at each other. Yeah, okay, so this is not known to most. It's fine. This is freaking economics. It's not early warning. So we're all entitled to not knowing. What we're going to experience now, Kate happens to be a friend from long ago, and she's now a superstar. So I'm very lucky to call her a friend and her network. And we have been working with her on how to build on her concepts from the book Donor Economics, which is really good reading, to understand how risks and shocks, cascading shock, compound risk, unprecedented stuff, what are we going to do? And now I bring this to this warnings conference to see how we do it. Very importantly, these ideas are evolving. This is all draft. You're welcome to imagine how it could be different, how it could be better. Let us know. Kate and I and Roerd, who helped a lot with the graphic design, they would be delighted to learn and improve for the next one. So, what Kate argues is that economists have been treating economics as an isolated system. Just pursue growth, and that's what it is. I'm butchering her way of presenting this, which is infinitely better, but bear with me. She says that economists tend to portray economy as a self-existing system, but reality is that economy is a subset of society. We create markets, we create rules of exchange, we create currency. And that exists in a society which lives in a planet that has resources and has limitations. So infinite growth in a limited planet, a little bit complicated. And she argues that there's 4 main modes of provisioning, of allowing people, entities, households, etc., to deal with their wants and needs. Could be education, food, water, shelter, entertainment, communication, mobility, all sorts of things. And these are from her graph: state, commons, household, and market. Now, in order to do this, we're going to get into some juggling. First, there's going to be a person. Catalina, you have no idea what's coming. She's the one who's enabling me to do this. Come over. Would you like to be a subsistence farmer or a grandma with mild dementia? Excellent. Mild means that, come up. Grandma does not know that Alzheimer's or one of these things is beginning to populate her brain cells. So she's a very funny, sharp, self-sufficient grandma who doesn't know that some things are not working as well as before. And you can construct anything else about where you live, who you are, what your family, but you live alone. That's the only condition. Let me bring a microphone to you. Will this work? See if you speak, see if it works.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
good. So this is grandma. Now, this you can wear, so you have a free hand. It's like a necklace.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. And grandma has to juggle with her wants and needs. This is actually hers. She didn't know that she was there. You go. Catch it.
My kid also.
So this has to not fall. Okay? So you throw it up in the air. Yeah, don't throw that one. And now
I'm good.
put the microphone closer to you.
I'm good at this.
Okay, you think so. Let's see if you're so good that you can juggle while saying a little bit about you. You're fabricating your identity.
So I have been a farmer for many years, and I decided to move to the city because I was just tired of the farm because I was alone. So I wanted to meet more people. So I moved this lovely apartment, but it doesn't really have a lift. I find it a little bit difficult nowadays to actually go up the stairs, so I tend not to go very much.
Did you notice how we stopped juggling for a moment? So that cannot happen. Okay? Yes. And that biceps, it looks very light, but you'll become asymmetrically muscular.
I live in a very dangerous neighborhood, so I don't like to open the windows, and when it gets hot, I just keep it closed because it's just a little bit dangerous. So I prefer to keep just make sure that I put my properties and nobody's in them.
Notice that without my asking, she started building ingredients for an interesting story that may follow. You may all do the same. Now you can pause if you want. May I invite you to come over to the front? Yes, you in the black dress. You and I spoke earlier. I don't remember your name. I know that we and I don't know each other. Yes, come over there. I'm going to invite you to be the market. So two things will happen. One is that she will wear the market, and the other is that she will have another object to juggle. This is yours. So you can borrow from her that object, that microphone thing. Now, you are the market. I'm going to give you something a little bit more difficult. It's difficult because it's lighter. I understand, that's why I chose you. Throw it up. Let me be clear, it's not that I knew that she wasn't good, it's that this is harder than it seems. So I need, at some point, for the ball to drop. That dropping of the ball means that the valued things, like for grandma, what does grandma value? Water, food, communication with her grandchildren, etc. What does the market value? Clear rules, access to goods and services, enforcement of contracts. Grandma just got a little bit of a fever. So, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, I'm going to hold this. Can you reverse I didn't tell you it has to be with a green face facing forward. I hadn't told her, so she couldn't have known. So, you are the market. In what ways do you think that a market exists in a city? You don't need to throw the ball yet. What can you describe a market? What do you picture yourself as being?
I picture myself as being accessible in a place where people could easily walk and get something which they want, even at 11 p.m.
So it could be the downtown, which is near her home, but there's a lot behind it. It's not just the store, it's that the store got stuff from a supplier that is in another province, maybe crossing a river that separates that state from this state and stuff like that, yes? Now, market is a way of provisioning that is founded on the idea of exchange, of transaction. There's someone who's a producer, someone who's a consumer. There's someone who's a buyer, someone who's a seller. So now comes the part where trouble will happen. I'll hold this. Their job is to pass the objects at the same time, ready, set, go, and then they both catch it without falling. Let's see how it goes. Yes, because you're exchanging, because you're in the market. Right, that wasn't simultaneous, but it was good. See if you can do it simultaneously. Oh, exactly. It's hard to get the market to function, but with time, remember, there wasn't too much capitalism before, a few centuries ago. Can we see if you can make it happen at the same time? Almost. And now one more try. You're going to do 1, 2, and both throw and both catch at the same time, if you can. Yay! And they caught it. So you're going to stay. Can you picture what is it that you gave to her?
Oh, I gave all my savings because I needed to buy a washing machine.
All right, and the market gave her what?
I gave her the product in exchange of the money.
Right, the washing machine. So the washing machine came, the money went. And Grandma just ran out of money, by the way. Maybe tomorrow she goes to get her pension and stuff like that. Now I need someone else to be the state. Volunteers? Look at how scared. Yeah, come over. Thank you. You'll wear the state with the face forward, with the green side facing forward. And I'm going to give you a soccer ball. So unlike the market where exchange happens, the state provides. The state through government entities, etc. So you're going to hold this ball, and when you give something to Grandma, you're going to put this above her hand, and her job is to catch it without it falling. And then you will have more than one thing in your hand. Yes? So what does the state do? State provides. Yes. Not yet, not simultaneously. I'll explain. Good. That was good. So you provided her what? What does state provide Grandma?
I gave you a pension.
There you go. Once a month she gets some money. She just ran out of money, but now she has some money. And Grandma, what have you given, or what do you give to the state?
I give my vote.
The vote, exactly. She's a citizen. Even if she doesn't like this particular officer, so you're not like that, no. You're going to go like this. Exactly. And it's not simultaneous. Like in the market, the transaction, this doesn't go unless this goes. In the state, it can be non-sequential. So we just understood that Grandma has a relationship to market and a relationship to state. Now you better start thinking, because I'm going to ask you very soon to have some additional interactions where if you two trade, you have to say what is the thing you trade. And if you give her something else, you have to say what it is. Let's do it now. Yes. What are you going to give to the state?
My taxes.
Exactly. And state, what are you going to do with Grandma?
Provide you with electricity and...
Not like that, no. Electricity is available in her home because there is a state company that provides electricity that has cables that come from a hydropower dam or somewhere. Yes? Market and Grandma, what's going to be exchanged next?
I want my favorite cookies.
Okay, you're gonna practice until it works. It's okay, you can keep it, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Very nice. And nothing has fallen so far. Very nice. Look at the clapping. Now, the commons. Who's gonna be the commons? Oh, you're so shy. Come on. Yeah. You're welcome to this step. So commons, green facing forward. Very nice. And I'm also going to give you something. So the commons are ways of organizing and provisioning where it's not a transactional thing where I give because you pay. It's not a state responsibility, it's where there's shared stewardship, shared caring of a thing, which could be, I don't know, what do you think you could be? They have no idea that this is happening, by the way. If you see their faces of like, what's happening, because this is not rehearsed. What is it that Grandma and peers have in common where they create something that provides for something she wants or needs? Where there's no transaction, then there's no state provision. But it's people coming together caring for something. Company. And the company for Grandma happens in what way?
In what do you call it, allotment?
Allotment, oh, where you do gardening, for example. So there's an allotment gardening where multiple people come, and so grandma may ask for the young child to carry the manure because she's not in good shape. And then in the commons, she representing the young folk who can carry manure or dig a hole, they do something common. So the way it's gonna happen is that I've been forgetting to show these things. I have all these things in place. Market, it's an exchange. Yes? Something goes and something comes at the same time. State, public provision, something is given by one of the two, and then usually there's a different thing being given in the opposite direction. And she came up with taxpayer, with voter, and there's all sorts of resident, consuming the electricity, whatever. In the commons, there's stewardship, so you're both commoners, so you're gonna take this, basically the two objects touch, yeah, right, there's a moment where everything is together, because we're all doing stuff commonly. Yes, excellent, so you just described it. And I have one last one. Household, may I invite someone over here to come be household? You have seen how safe this is. May I invite you? Yeah, don't look behind you. Yeah, there we go. So where the green facing forward is a little bit tighter. Some of us may have been in trouble. And in the household, it's a household. There's people who live together or some kind of extended family or something. And the key thing is care. There's usually someone who provides the care and someone who receives the care, which in the case of a spousal relationship, it could be symmetrical. I care for the IT needs of my household when my mom or child or spouse doesn't know, and the other person provides the care in, for example, making me feel safe, making me feel loved, or whatever may be the case. But there's an element of caring. So I'm going to give you something. Let's see this one. And the way it's going to work is that you're going to, so grandma, in your household, what could this person be and what kind of thing could he give you, or they or she give you that matters to you, in a sense of caring for you?
Because I'm alone,
Yeah.
my neighbor?
Let's call it a family,
Okay.
yeah. So
then my nephew?
Yes, and what does your nephew give you
He
that?
goes every Sunday to visit me, so he comes every Sunday to visit me and to bring me my favorite cookies.
There you go.
And just to have a chat.
So there's a caring, and you're going to go with your hand like that and care for her, and then she's going to care for something because she gives you something that you like. What is it that you love, household member? Time with grandma. Learning about the past.
My aunt.
All right, sorry, yes, right, because she's grandma, but also excellent. So in the context of household, there is this caring thing. So now, what you're going to do is going to be phenomenal trouble for her, is that each of you is going to have some kind of interaction with her in your form. So for him, it's going to be like this. For you, it's going to be shared. For you too, it's going to be bloop. And for you, it's going to be bloop. But you're going to have to tell one thing that comes and goes that is of value. Catalina, I wish you success. You're holding it. You're holding it. So what are you going to exchange with this, to give or take from the state?
From the state, I need a new scooter because I can't walk. So, what is that?
Yeah. And what are you going to do?
I'm going to get funding in order to buy it from a disability allowance from the government.
Excellent. So maybe she gave you the information that a scooter is needed, because the scooter is new, because it didn't exist, because now the lithium batteries make the scooter possible. Notice how much making up story is going on. Yes? How about with the state? Something else that hasn't been exchanged yet. From the market, sorry. Yeah.
I need a vacation in the Caribbean.
Poor, but with good taste.
I give you the exchange of money.
Woohoo! You didn't see how close it was from falling. Commons, what else?
And then common. I need. I want to join the walking group in the parks around the neighborhood. Just to chat with people.
Good. So you go together.
To introduce you to the walking group and go with you.
There you go. Nice. And if you don't have, remember, because people,
sorry.
there's all sorts of things happening, friends online. Trust us, it's fun. And over here, what's going to happen?
And then what's gonna happen?
With some other member of your household or the same member?
Yeah, so my nephew is gonna go to the Caribbean with me. That's what
You got the gist? Lara, you're going to be a psychiatric nurse. Go over there and find 4 partners who take those things and wear them green side facing up. I don't know your name. You're a subsistence farmer. Stand up, go over there, find 4 partners who are going to be state and so on. And let's make you a Red Cross volunteer. And you have to find 4 people, and there's the thing. You cannot all be sitting. So you either are wearing a green thing and are a member of it, or you stand up and are cheering for them. The important thing that I need you, those of you who are not wearing one, is your enforcers of rules. They have to, the balls have to change hands. Oh, and we need 4 balls for each. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 for you. And so what you need to do is when the ball falls, you say, oh no! Okay? And if they don't exchange the balls in the proper way, you have to say, no, no, it's this way, not that way, or whatever the case. Everyone stand up, find something.
Shall we keep this one?
Yeah, you keep it. Those are okay. They can stay. Okay, so it's 4. 1, oh, sorry, 5 because of it. Everyone has something. Yeah, you keep it, you keep at it. No, but you stay, sorry, I'm sorry, misunderstood. You stay and you keep going. Yeah, there. What you can do is to, no, keep it so you're, you have a hard time keeping the green side facing forward. Green side facing forward. Yes, come up with more stories. You have to come up with endless stories. Yeah. Now start playing to the fact that you have a little bit of dementia. It hasn't showed up yet.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, okay. So, oh yeah. What happened? Hey, who are you? I can't recognize you.
Don't you remember the next photo? Yeah, it's like usually you pass it over. Yeah, I'm also going to look up to make sure that
Can you tell me? Excellent. So friends online, sorry that I didn't give you the task, but I see that you're already doing the right thing. You have to provide information about each of these 4 modes of provisioning, which are on the screen: the state, the household, the commons, and the market. And you're going to identify who is the person at the center, and then you're going to offer ways in which something comes and something goes in the right way. So if it's market, it's a transaction. If it's state, it's a provision of services, and so on. I'm going to give you about 2 more minutes to populate as much as possible the scenario. Okay? Thank you. 2 minutes. Actually, 1 minute. Make one last performative exchange or something.
Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence, please. Thank you. So here's what's going to happen now. Have you heard of natural hazards? I hereby introduce you to the very fashionable bracelet of natural hazards. Whoever wears this can show up to any of these clusters of 5 and say zap, and say what natural phenomenon you are. It may help to show up first and ask who they are, what they are. Like if this is grandma, you know something about her. She's in the Caribbean, maybe she gets a hurricane if she's in the Caribbean, but not a hurricane if she's in Wales. Well, maybe, yes, I don't know. Yeah, it's unprecedented stuff. So the team has no choice. It has happened. They say, no, thermodynamically, I don't care. Yeah, it's happening. And there's going to be 2 kinds of things. The first will be the direct impact on grandma. For example, heat wave, ooh, grandma is hot. Or hurricane, ooh, grandma feels more wind and she lost the hat, or something more consequential. But then I want the hazard player to point to one of the other modes of provisioning. So if I hit the market, how could the market be disrupted? Can you show what happens if you rotate that? I'm going to show you over here, if I have the slides somewhat handy. There's going to be a shock. And do you see that the market is now disrupted, where maybe grandma wants to buy something, but the market cannot provide? Why? What happened? What did the shock do to alter the market? Which could be the price of grain because of the Ukraine war. Yeah, I'd rather have it somewhat connected to the hazard, either in the same local place or in the neighboring province or in some global thing. But your job is to talk about how the market disruption or the state disruption or the commons disruption, and you're filmmakers, be creative, let those juices fly. So Caroline, you're going to be the first shock player. I don't know if you can throw it. There you go, good catch. Oh, this one here. You're working, can I give you, welcome. There you go. Look, people want to be the shockers. And now there's only 3 of you shock people and there's 4 groups. So you may have to go traveling around. One of the groups is going to be, oh my goodness, when will the shock come? And what will that shock be? Which sounds familiar, doesn't it? For those of us. And then maybe you get a second shock. You're still dealing with the first one and a second one comes. Is that compound risk or cascading risk or what? I don't know, you'll have a conversation. So shock people, find your victims. Everyone else, you have to keep talking and keep the balls exchanging or coming or going. Ready, set, go. And for people online, the task is the same, only that there's all of you and you're coming up with ideas on what the shock was, what it did directly to the person at the center, and what it did indirectly, and then everyone contributes to everything in a phenomenally co-creation process. Thank you and good luck. Oh, by the way, may I have your attention, please? One thing that I didn't say, can I have your attention, please? This applies especially for people in the room. If the shock hits grandma, or whoever is the person at the center, the impact will be a direct impact of the kind that the early warning system, if it exists already, kind of thinking of. But if the shock hits one of the other things, like here you see, the state has already been disrupted. The player was somehow hit and took the necklace and rotated it, showing the red side, which is disruption. Whereas as far as I can tell, the commons are still thriving. The community level, oh, she's saying she hit you, then you have to rotate it because you're in trouble now. Okay, so when you're affected, rotate it so it shows the red disrupted side. Keep going. And here's the other part I forgot to tell you. Can I have your attention? Nico, can you wave? This is Nico. He's the person who is documenting, he's the media. He's showing what's happening. So we're going, because this is a filmmaking process, right? When Nico shows up to your team, you have to be prepared to show something about this disruption that involves the balls not doing what they should be doing. So if I am the state, it could be that I do this, but there's no ball because I didn't get money from the taxpayer because the market didn't, or whatever may be the case. So you have to tell a visual story with words if you want, but it has to be enacted. Think of the juggling. The thing is thrown and not doesn't come out. Something has to fall. Something has to not work. This is a session that is called juggling because we want things to fall so that you experience the traumatic experience of not having your wants and needs. And because you're actors, you're welcome to add some drama or some comedy. Use your facial expressions, use your body language. When Nico shows up, which won't happen for the first 2 or 3 minutes, so you have time to come up with awesome stories. Good luck to you. Keep going. Nico?
No, I think it was only me. Oh yeah,
When real things.
So exactly. So I'm okay with you, but you're very tired of having me.
Okay, can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? Those of you who are, thank you. Look at how much laughter is going on with this catastrophic scenario of cascading and compounding risks. Those of you who are not wearing a necklace, please come over here. I mean it, please come over here. Everyone, I know it's like, oh my God, what is going to happen? It's very safe. You're just going to form groups of 2 or 3, and you're gonna talk. Yeah, I know you're hesitating. Please come, please come. So here's what's going to happen. You, Kevin, are going to find a neighbor or 2, and you're going to come up with ideas or metaphors of what happens when a disruptive market hits a disruptive state, or when a disruptive commons meets a disruptive state, or when a disruptive household meets a disruptive state, or market or common. So as a set of floating humans, you're no longer putting pressure on these poor actors who don't know what they're doing. As they come up with ideas, you're going to start having interactions, how disruption in one of these modes of provisioning disrupts the other mode of provisioning. And to the extent possible, imagine what would that mean for an actual person, a subsistence farmer, a psychiatric nurse, a grandma that has mild Alzheimer's, or something like that. It's hard. Self-organized groups of 2 or 3 have interesting conversations. You have no more than 5 minutes because Nico is filming the actors, and then we're going to give you an additional task. Ready, set, go. Friends online, same story. You make up the story. Something has to happen where there are always a metaphor for certain values that doesn't reach the person who needs it or stay. We're giving you 3 markets, 5. Okay, friends, may I have your attention, please? Shh, thank you. By the way, I warn you, there's a stage here, and each group will have its 3 minutes of fame performing your favorite element of the thing you're going to come up with, which is not done yet. I want to introduce you to 2 additional things. One is that when there's a disruptive state provision, for example, the government doesn't show up, for a while things don't work, but then there can be someone says, you know what, I have the biggest weapon in this town, I'm the king now. And if you don't like it, come look at my Kalashnikov and then decide. You know, there can be oppressive emergence resulting from shocks. Similarly, in the market, if all the other people who sold water are no longer around, and I'm the only one who sells water and I happen to like your money, I'll say, you want water? You have to pay triple the amount. Nothing has changed, I still have the river, but then it becomes market exploitation. In the household, it could be that the mother is no longer around, and there's an uncle who looks at the teenage child, and there can be very dangerous consequences on gender and sexual violence and stuff like that in the absence of a functioning, thriving household. Similarly with the commons, if there used to be, say, groundwater protected by the community, and then something falls apart with the community because of the shock, maybe, I don't know, a company comes and says, this groundwater is now mine, and you have to pay if you want it. If you take your hanging identity estate and you flip it open, you'll see inside that it's available to you if you want to tell the story with that. It's complicated, I advise you don't, but if you want to, you can. Now, we have seen thriving relationships. The ball comes and goes, or the ball lands in safe hands. Disrupted by shock, something doesn't work, some ball falls. If you wanted to make it corrupted by power, in what way would that manifest? Someone goes and grabs your ball or something like that. Now, you have already started a conversation about ripple effects. Jaime, Eugenia, do we have the cardboard piece that we had commissioned? Because I don't know where it is. Oh, I didn't know I had it with me. Please go and get it, yes. So I don't know where I left it. Thanks for going for it. What Jaime and Eugenia have done is an early warning system that can inform you about all sorts of natural hazards. So what I'm going to do now is to invite all those people who were around, floating without a necklace, to join some of these groups, and your job is collectively to come up with a 2 to 4 minute skit which shows first things function. Grandma pays the market gives something. Grandma receives from the state, so that goes around in a very short time. Then there's some disruption. Caroline comes with the shock and shocks the thing that is pre-agreed, and there's a disruption. Oh my God, I lost the thing. And then we replicate, but this is a movie, right? You change the argument, and now you add an early warning system. The question for you is, and this is why we're having this workshop, I don't care so much about how the early warning system prevents the direct shock from the hazard to the person. That's what we're normally doing. I want you to think about what kinds of actions can we take as humanitarians, as governments, as scholars, as donors, as UN, to help the systems of state, commons, households, and markets to be ready to anticipate both the direct shock of the hazard on the system, so it doesn't go like that, or if it's going to go like that, for the cascading effects or the compound things to not materialize. That's a lot to ask. Live with it. Everyone will come on stage and do something. So the sequence, thriving conditions, balls come and go, everyone happy. Shock comes, disruption. Don't do the direct to the grandma, or if you want, make it in passing, and go straight into shock to the system, shock to the state, shock to the, and then the rippling effects, which by the way, I had a nice, here's the rippling effects, show that when you're not ready. And then with an early warning, when you see the hazard, the fire, etc., what will you do? And here is the, I'm gonna put it there. The warning system exists and it's in place, but it's not saying anything because it's a normal day when the balls are coming and going. Then the shock comes, the warning system didn't reach them, it was over here, grandma suffers because of the market, the state, and then the warning tells people, watch out, a hazard is coming, and the household, the state, etc. say, oh my goodness, what can I do as a system to be better prepared? You have about 10 minutes to come up with a skit. Good luck, it's impossible. Let's see if it's all right.
Okay, so we go through the story.
You're doing the question on
I know documentation.
Bueno, ahora and team online, you're going to have a harder time, but you can try. What are you going to do to come up with a story or an early warning system successfully helping people, government entities, markets, households, common stewards to anticipate and address an incoming shock? Wishing you success. And Mary, you'll be in charge of sharing on behalf of the online group. Thank you. Oh, I forgot! One moment of your attention, please. One moment of your attention, please. When you come on stage and do your thing, the balls coming and going, exchanging, falling, they need to be central to your performance. It cannot be that you're mostly talking and then a moment the ball. No, make the ball feature because that's the actor. That's the main character, okay? Ball-centric performance.
You got any cookies yet? Some cookies. Okay, so now I've got some money.
What was that?
So you all first.
So you have a small amount of income every week, and I have some cookies for everyone. She only has 5.
Really late, yeah.
Can I, Grandma's staying with you, right?
Yes,
Can you give her the cookies? Okay, that's great.
So I'm going to keep that. I'm amazing. I'm baking cookies. I'm
Yeah, that's
texting you. I'm doing everything you need.
I'm going to you. I'm just don't remember what happened. Was it here every
Oh no, I'm not really sure about you.
Yeah, and it's I need to go to the doctor.
I'll take you, Grandma. Let's go to the doctor.
And now the other one.
Okay, cool. Okay.
5 minutes. You have 5 minutes.
So I'm helping the house. I'm planning my holidays to preparation, and I put them for 6 months.
So now I'm gonna share with the state information about the hurricane on its way. So what's the state gonna be able to say?
State is going to send an emergency response to households. Hurricane, and you should stay in shelter and make sure you have stock.
I'm very
You should have supplies.
I'm gonna come to stay with you, Grandma. I'll look after you. We'll weather out the storm together. The early warning system is also informed which businesses are going to be most supportive in the crisis. So you're a business that would be a great support to Grandma. We buy 1, 2, 3. The state knew that there was going to be a panic buy-in, so state supports it. It's a market.
State.
Oh, the next one. Yeah, because I need to mention that
People are gonna like,
is.
they're gonna cut down the forest because like panic stopping, they're buying like wood, so the forest is getting.
I have an invitation for you. You're already on stage to be the person who is. Here's the actual camera. So as you plant these needs to what, I will well be instructions to the camera what you film. We want you to capture, especially the moment where the photos are there. You don't have to. If you don't have instructions, you can.
And we're both looking at the market at once, rather than the market trying to deal with it and collapse. Yeah. And then we're going to go to the commons. And then we're going to go back to the state and say, the state's not there, it's designed on there. Yeah.
I can see you coming.
Telling those states that the hurricane's coming to prepare themselves.
Yeah, there we go. Let's take one from there.
Grandma, there's a hurricane coming. I'm going to come and stay with you. Okay? And now the audio system's also supporting the market.
Stay prepared for extra stock taking people. We have extra supplies on the way. Be aware that there will be a bunch of people. Nothing you for the audience as well, right?
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Collapses, you just fall off the floor.
The reason not you have to be I'm absent.
You're absolutely
I'm absent. I send everyone to supplies the market.
You're the last one standing. I think the household of the commons ending would dictate that. We throw our balls in the bucket, you collapse, and we're like, what do we have? But on the way there is the element that has got the market to be able to do the initial response, but then falls over.
And then again,
And then you collapse.
then I
Then we don't
because
know.
the design.
And then we found Heinrich. And you're less familiar. I'm going to say you know to be prepared to fight. Yeah. And then you want to support the market with the explanation. I will
1 minute. You have 1 minute.
Response and then some supply and then enough gold to deal with that and what I've given you. Which normally is what it is to be angry that you'll collapse. I'm going to go. Hurricane's on its way. If I'm now in the corner, she emerges out of the dark.
Maybe I'm coming in the end. And I'm a bit,
And we can both like staggered towards you. Yeah.
right, let's
So we need like a soft light
And Rob, yes, Rob, you can use that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, start wrapping it up. And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence. And thank you for your attention. Welcome to the Cannes Festival special ceremony to launch the premiere of the experimental films from students of filmmaking on the issue of cascading risks, compound risk, and early warning systems. We know that we all have to have loving, caring support for these first-time students taking classes from an incomprehensible director who's teaching them to do things that are not doable, and yet they did something. So we're going to start with the first group. They have been invited to inform the filmmaker where the action is likely to happen. The rest of us are audience. We can boo, but I advise not to. We can stay silent if nothing makes any sense. We can celebrate if anything is happening. Let's not celebrate too much in the middle of it until the end. I hope you can keep it shortish, no more than 3 minutes. And the stage is yours.
Should I get the microphone? Yeah. Okay, so such a lovely day. I'm gonna get some cookies for my nephew because he's coming to visit me.
Oh, hi, Grandma. Hi. Is it time for cookies?
It's time for cookies. Like, yeah, it's so exciting.
Oh, no! There's a hurricane. Right.
Oh no, the hurricane is coming!
Let's shelter together.
The early warning system is telling the state to respond.
The state, I present the households with information on how to look after yourselves, and I give the market extra supplies in the event of stockpiling. And now I depart.
Now the hurricane is approaching and it's gonna hit the market.
Oh, okay, but I still have some money. Yeah.
Give what grandma wants. Okay, give grandma the cookies and also the nephew the cookies if you want.
Good, thank you, great. Oh, that was very useful, but I need still my dementia medicine and I need to get some water and food and like, we don't have a to eat. So, okay.
What do we do, Grandma? What do we do? Who's that?
And I have come to save you, because I have grown vegetables, and I have for you to eat, and I have sunshine and water for you to drink.
Who needs the market
So
or the
please
state?
come and stay
Read
with
the
me.
comments.
I will save you, and I will comfort you, and I will help you back on your feet.
And the rest is happy ever after.
Is there a microphone here?
Or one take.
So, I have to say that for beginners, that was quite remarkable. I'd like to invite Mary to share with us what has been happening with our dear participants joining from the distance, who didn't have each other in person, didn't have the balls to transact or let fall, etc., and yet they worked hard to come up with at least one thing to be shared. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will do my best to capture what they were discussing, and I'm apologies if it's not as performative as the previous group. So we have a scenario with a middle-aged woman who has 10 cats and lives in a village. Suddenly, there's the nuclear power plant that has had an explosion, which leads to radiation, train derailment, and power outage. So the state provision is road clearing, nice space, so that we can get the supplies in. And then they also very kindly remove the nuclear waste, which they're kind of responsible for. And then, bam, there's a flood that happens, and with the storm that follows. So now we have the roads that are blocked again, which means we can't get medicine, ambulance, food, all the other supplies that come in. So what do people do? They go to a shopping center to evacuate. But what about the 10 cats? So the lady decides to stay home. but she is without her neighbors. But because she's so involved in her local community, she actually has spare keys to a lot of the neighbors' houses. So whilst they are all at the shopping center, she uses the keys and she goes to the neighbors' houses and she finds that they have cat food. But not everyone has 10 cats. So she has to go to another house, find some cat food. So she now has cat food for a few days, but this runs out. There is a black market going on somewhere, so she goes to buy more cat food after a few days. However, it's about 50% more than usual. So she spends most of her money on this and is left without food, so then has to steal. Now, due to the storm, there are mudslides and the river is rising. But we have a few people at the shopping center who have had disaster training, preparedness training. So they know of an evacuation site that is higher up the slope and away from the mudslides. And they also know how to get in touch with someone at the state who can issue a warning because they are aware that this lady with her 10 cats is not at the shopping center, therefore needs evacuating. And there's some language barriers. So the text message is sent, and this lady knows, okay, I can now get up to the hill. So the other people from the shopping center make their way up the hill, avoiding all the mudslides. And then the lady, still at home, over here, with her 10 cats, apparently has some sort of camp trolley that she can put her 10 cats in and hopefully join everyone up the hill. But her roof collapses and the trolley is destroyed. Luckily, search and rescue has been informed because of the connection with the state, and they arrive just in time to her house to evacuate her and the 10 cats and to bring her up to the top of the hill.
Do you understand that all of that happened via Zoom in the same limited time that you had? It's pretty remarkable. So congratulations, you just won the Oscar to the beginner script for a catastrophe movie involving donut economics. Thank you, Mary, for channeling our Zoom participants. And if not, you added your own artistic talent. We may have time for one more group. Is there one more group that's willing and able? Come on stage then. Oh, no, not them. Any other group willing and able? There you go. And if you want,
Well, they declined.
if you want I'm working with early tolerance,
Can someone be an early?
Remember that you're performing for the audience and for the camera, so try to not give us the back as the most important feature of the performance.
Okay, so I am a subsistence farmer somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa, and I am growing cassava or rice. So I've had a fantastic year. It's been very, very good. So I'm going to come along to the market and I say, I've got tons of rice and I want to trade it with someone for some cash. So that works. So then
Very nice.
I come to the state and I say to the state that I quite like better roads. I want better roads from you, okay?
So here you are.
Okay, drop it to me.
And I need some.
Okay, and I return it in form of taxes or votes or whatever like that. So we then have in our small community a bike sharing. So I've decided I'm going to get a bike, and I can, with this bike, I can put more rice on it and take it to a market that's further away where I'm convinced I can get more cash for it or something like that. So we do our weird commons trades. My bike, formulate with that. And this over here is my granddaughter, who is incredible at cycling, is going to lug all that rice all the way over there. I'm going to do nothing because, I don't know, who knows? So we come over and we exchange very nicely. Okay, brilliant. So I'm set up now. I've got a new harvest, I've got my bike, and I want to go somewhere.
Or is it the warning first?
Okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. The hazard comes.
Impacted the market. Oh, no. There's the flooding, no transport links are working. Oh no, I'm upset, disrupted by the drought. I don't have anything to give you
I don't have any money, I don't have any resources. It's all gone.
Okay, so we've cycled really far. We've come to this market. We're desperate to exchange our money. We've got nothing. It's out of action. I've tried to sell you, so I'm now wasting my time.
But here comes the state to save the market. Here you are.
Okay.
But I need some taxes because I have no money.
So now he's taken my taxes back. So the state has now helped the market, but I have nothing. But if we'd had, where's our warning system? Who has our warning system? Okay, so the idea was that if I'd been given a warning, I may have been able to navigate to a different market, or I could have known where a market was out of action and gone somewhere where I would have known that I'd be able to sell my stuff instead of making this long journey with my granddaughter who's now exhausted. We have no money, and we have to cycle back with loads of rice that we can't do anything with. That's it.
Awesome. This is now on the queue of one of these awesome directors of your choice who will add the character that you want. I'm so impressed. This, my friends, was the first ever experimental deployment of this activity. We have conceived it, we have played it with Rob and Kate in our heads, we have imagined how it could work. I had no idea that it could work so well online and in person. Congratulations. And I hope that it gave you more of a texture of what we could be thinking of when early warning systems provide services not only to the person or entity at the center of, in harm's way, but also very importantly to the systems that need to provide for people's wants and needs. Now, I would like to invite Rob to tell us a bit about the Donut Economics Action Lab, because if you liked what you experienced, you can learn more, and I'm not the person to help you.
Thanks so much, Pablo. There was a wonderful moment in our skit where someone, I forgot your name, sorry, Nairi, was the Commons, and everyone hugged her, and it was this beautiful moment. Well, what we've created with Donut Economics Action Lab is a Commons that is free, open source, for you to use the tools that have been created by all the people using the ideas Pablo shared today, but also the other donut economics ideas. So taking them into contexts in business and education and communities and local government, and then sharing them so you can apply them in your context, and then sharing stories of how they've worked, and keeping on evolving this process of understanding what these ideas can mean in practice. So what donut economics is trying to do is say, we've inherited economic thinking that's causing quite a lot of crises, so how can we reinvent, reimagine economic possibility together? So we take these ideas and collectively sort of find ways forward. What we did today was chapter 2 of Donut Economics that looks into the different modes of provisioning, but we also have games, which are a great way of exploring these ideas with others, that look into regenerative design, designing with the cycles of the living world, distributive design, where we share value, power, and resources far more equitably. So there are lots of things to explore here. You can find the website here and our social media. And so it's just an invitation to kind of explore these ideas and then share back how you find using it within your organizations or your particular context. And so thanks to Pablo for being one of the sort of pioneers of these ideas in games like we have today. So thank you so much, Pablo. Thank you for inviting me along.
Thank you, Rob.
That was so much fun. Thanks so much, everyone, for playing along. We just wanted to quickly, another invitation for a couple platforms if people are interested in working more on these ideas, connecting with us, etc. The Anticipation Hub, if you don't know it, please do find us online. There's an incredible community of humanitarians, of governments, of disaster risk practitioners, of academics. We run events. There's a lot of kind of resources and things on everything related to early warning, early action, anticipatory action, etc. So do find us, and if you want to, there's a couple of us here who are from the hub, who have hub hats. So Catalina, Pablo, and I. So if you want to know more, just come find us. And then within the Anticipation Hub, we are launching a multi-risk working group. So basically a group to come talk about things about compound risk, cascading risk, unprecedented events, all these things. And we'd love to have people join us. So we're doing this along with ACAPS, who's co-chairing the working group. It was launched a few months ago. And we're now kind of in the process of developing, of seeing like what processes we want to use, how we kind of build a community of thinkers around the concepts of compound, cascading, unprecedented risk. So maybe you can come with your stories that you just developed today. We'd love to hear more about it and see how we can develop this into a research agenda, a practice agenda, a policy agenda. So I will skip through these, but if you want more information, we're here. You can come find me as well. Oh, my contact's on there. Whatever, come find us. If you're keen, we're like scoping to find more partners and people who want to be involved more actively as well. And we will be launching more officially at the Global Dialogue platform in October. So there will be now stuff on the Anticipation Hub. So if you wait for mid-October, there should be kind of things like sign-up sheets and those sorts of things. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Pablo, back over to you.
Thank you, Dorothy. And with essentially 0 time to go, this is how we started. I hope that you, after this madness that you embrace and for which I'm so grateful, there are a few things that you may have distilled. What we intended for you to have somewhere in your brain, in your skin, in your gut, is one that we're juggling with a lot. And we're juggling with our baggage of conceptual frameworks that taught us that the natural hazard, which may become a disaster, hits, and the early warning is for the person in harm's way. We argue that if we care about compound risk, if we care about cascading, if we care about unprecedented, we need to look at not only how the direct impact on the vulnerable person, but also on the systems that provide, including markets, households, state, and commons. There's a lot that we can do with and from a donut economics framework from Kate Rayworth. And very importantly, this playfulness with juggling, neuroscience shows that when you're engaged in playfulness, when your senses are engaged, your neurons, your brain power. Did you know that we have enough brain cells in our gut as much as 2/3 of a cat's brain? When we engage our bodies, we think better. And these conferences are designed to suppress our physical existence as if we were just brains containing a body that is bored to death. We can do better. If you're liking these things, we have a session, I think it's 6B at 3:30 in the auditorium space downstairs, which will be about acrobatics and how that can help us understand and address issues of mental health, climate darkness, and so on. It's gonna be so much fun. And then tomorrow we have even more madness with Lara, Mani, where are you, Lara? And look for session 8C, I believe it is. Time to go. Go enjoy lunch and whatever comes, and thank you so much to all that contributed.